This is the Round 2 podcast with Galen, Parker, and Stephanie and Nicole, where we talk to big thinkers, big dreamers, and big idea havers. Quitting and failing are not the same thing, and we're going to show you why. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we are upset. My name is Galen Parker. Say hello to
Hey,
Stephanie.
everybody.
Guys, a lot has happened in the entrepreneur world, in the investing world, in the real estate world. If you hadn't noticed, everybody's real estate stocks are falling down. Zillow's down, Redfin's down, Compass is down. All the money is looking funny and is not a good thing. And I'm fired up, but we're trying to compose ourselves. We're going to try to give you what we feel is a realistic viewpoint over two different legislation changes. Before we get into that, Stephanie, how was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty calm. I did go out Saturday, had a ball.
Was it the holiday or what was it?
Yes, it was Shamrock the Block, and I started off really professional. Okay. Went and did an open house, knocked on some doors, met some people, kissed some babies, all that good stuff. Then went outside. It was outside. So, and then Sunday, I was supposed to go to a concert. It was rescheduled, so I just ended up sleeping. What about you?
Very nice. So like yourself, I did do an open house Saturday, but I realized that it was just kind of dead. I talked to some of the neighbors and the neighbors were acting crazy. Like, can we come inside and see? And I'm like, no, all right, stop it.
Put your information down, including your address.
Not these neighbors.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, so I did the open house. I shot some content. Anytime I do an open house, whether 100 people coming or one, I'm gonna do what I want to do. So I'm gonna make use of that time. So I talked to some investors that I knew. I shot some content for it. That was all great. I did not go out Saturday night. After that, I was just like, it's a wrap. I'm too old to be out in I'm not shamrocking a block. If you guys don't know what Shamrock the Block, if you're here in Richmond, Virginia, Shamrock the Block is a big festival that they do every St. Patrick's Day. They get bands out there. They get beers out there. There's tons of people. This weekend was unique because it coincided with the same weekend as GalaxyCon. That's more my speed. So if you were downtown, like I was on 3rd Street working, and there's people out there, they're dressed as Star Trek characters. They're dressed as goblins and elves and wizards and witches and aliens. I mean, they were going all out. That was at the Richmond Convention Center. So needless to say, it was a crazy town, just not all that conducive for an open house. So I just went home Saturday. My energy was on E. I went home, watched some basketball. And then what did I do? Then on Sunday, I kind of stayed low-key, did some laundry, watched my VCU Rams lose. This is my favorite time of year, Stephanie. If you did not know, this is March Madness. There is no greater drama than college basketball. I mean, Galen's heart muscles are just fluttering, just seeing like the excitement, the loss, the heartbreak. Oh, it's so good. It's so pure. So I did that, and then I went, and then Mr. Brent Gove came down to Richmond, Virginia. He took me and some of my friends out to dinner. If you guys don't know, Brent Gove is Brent at one point was number 11 in the world for Remax teams. The world, that's everywhere. He also went and started running teams and training people for Keller Williams, and now he works at EXP. He is the number 1 agent attractor in the world. A lot of us, we think about if I can make 6 figures in a year. Brent is making 7 figures a month. Just think about that, ladies and gentlemen. How would your life change if you were getting 7 figures a month? Would your life be different, easier? Who knows? Maybe. Money doesn't necessarily bring you happiness. Don't hurt though. So it was good to be, and I'm a big fan of like, I'm going to position myself next to people who are winning. I'm positioned next to you because you're winning. I want to rub shoulders with winners. I want to be in pictures with winners and stuff like that because I'm hoping that stuff rubs off. Winning is contagious.
In the world at anything is crazy. Like that's goals to me. Like I want to be number 1 in something.
And if you've ever met him, he's not going to give you I'm number 1 vibes. He's like, how are you doing? How's your mom? He's got 8 kids. He's a parent. He's just, very, when you look at what he's wearing, you're never like, oh, he's not blinged out. But then he's just dropping, subtle clues. He's like, oh, I live in Puerto Rico for 5 months of the year, and I live in California for 4 months, and then 3 months I'm traveling the world. But anyway, so I was playing golf the other day, and I'm just like, wait, run that back? You're doing what now? So It's good to be in the company of gentlemen. So that was pretty bomb. So that was my weekend. But ladies and gentlemen, enough. We have held on for, we gave you the intro. If you have not done already, feel free to hit the button down below, like and subscribe. Stay with us. We are your people. You are our tribe. We are your humans. And we're trying to help you. So there's two legislations that are changes that have gone on. The first one I don't know a lot about. And thankfully Stephanie's here because I was in a meeting with Stephanie last week and she was dropping knowledge and I was just like, I don't know what we're talking about. If you are a wholesaler, so let's first stop and unpack that. How many times did we hear the word unpack today, Stephanie? But that's another conversation. What is a wholesaler?
A wholesaler is someone who connects with motivated owners of property, get their property under contract, and then assign those contracts to cash buyers.
Okay, perfect. So what, and I know the answer to this, but for the person who's listening who might not know, what does it mean to assign a contract?
You're basically selling the contract rights to another person for money.
All right. So if I'm a wholesaler, I'm not technically buying the house, correct?
It depends on what wholesalers, but what wholesalers you're dealing with. So how I do business, usually if I make a cash offer, it is always a cash offer that I'm willing to close on. However, there are some projects that are harder than others, or I may want to just go ahead and make my money up front and give it to like one of my friends or one of my clients that's looking and just make the quick money. That would be the correct way of wholesaling, but most wholesalers do not have the ability to close on a deal.
Okay. So, and I've partnered with wholesalers and I've had nothing but good experiences, but that's just because I can oftentimes smell out a person who is not on the board. Because I usually say, like, if worse comes to worse, do you have money? Right. So I'm usually like, just, I want to make sure. And if you don't have money, that's fine. But do you know people who have, like, I don't want you to like have to like go try to find someone because in my mind, getting the money is the easy part. It's finding the deal. So it's like if you found the deal, that's great. All right, so that's all. So that's kind of what I thought. And if you're a wholesaler out there and you're watching this show, if you have a deal in Richmond, Virginia, holler at your boy. You know, I'm just saying.
Don't
You know, I got you.
I
What'd
said
you
don't
say?
call him, call me. I'm just kidding.
Or if you're in Cleveland, you know, hey, you know, I'm learning that market too. So,
Yeah.
so what has changed recently that makes things kind of sticky?
So in Virginia, they have added that in order you need to have a real estate license in order to assign more than one contract a year. So that means you need to have a real estate license in order to wholesale real estate now.
Okay. Why do we think like whose idea was this? Because like this obviously anytime in my opinion, anytime there's a change in law, there's someone who's benefiting from this and that's why they're pushing it. So who do you think is the benefactor?
I'm on both sides of this because there are some wholesalers that are
Yes.
predatory. So I do believe that the
Okay.
legislation was put into place to have some type of control and to have a quality or a standard. However, I don't think that that will be what actually happens. But I do think it was them having the best intentions on protecting the public from predatory practices.
Okay. So what is like what when you say predatory, what does that mean? Like what are they doing? They like strong arming you, they come into your house and dragging you out. Like what is a predatory practice when it comes to the wholesaling world?
Well, most wholesalers, and this is me too. I don't have to be transparent, but the whole the whole idea of wholesaling is to find a person that's willing to sell your house below value, or that's willing to sell your house with enough equity and profit in it that they can, flip it or make a quick profit right then and there. So it can be predatory. A lot of people like to target the elderly community, people who are facing foreclosure, people who are just in those in such dire situations that they may be a little more desperate. So they're trying to protect people that are in those desperate situations from just signing over properties. In the elderly community, 55 plus community is a big target for predatory wholesalers because most of those people are, they're elderly, or they have Alzheimer's, or they can't work, or they need to go to a home, and they just sign stuff with people, not knowing, one, you can either put the house on the market with a realtor, or you have like different options that may be other creative options that work better for you. But if somebody is willing to just give you their house for the, they've been paying on a mortgage for 20 years and they're just willing to give you the house if you'll take the mortgage, that's almost predatory.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate because you mentioned people who perhaps might be facing foreclosure. So I'm facing foreclosure. I owe $200,000 and I don't have it. Now, it might be worth 350, 375. But if I'm saying, "Hey, I need $200 just to get this off my back," and you're giving me, like, what's wrong with that?
So I'm a big person. Like, if I feel like if you present somebody with all of the options that are available to them and let them make their own decision based on what they want to do, then it's not predatory. However, some people don't give them all
Okay.
of the options. With foreclosure, I would say that's also a target for wholesalers, just because people who are facing foreclosure are already in the mindset of they're going to lose the property, they're not going to get anything from it. And then also, some people try to hold on so hard that they end up losing it anyway. Like, they may not want to put the house, like, the best thing if you're facing foreclosure, just put the house on the market with a realtor. You're always going to get the highest value, the highest rate of return with the MLS. That's just what it is. It's going to give you maximum exposure. It's going to put you in front of the most people. But some people are embarrassed about their situations. They don't want their addresses out. So maybe,
Mm.
you can get a deal that way. Or some people are just holding on so hard that they wait till the last minute and then you only have 14 days to save it. So you have to take this cash offer in order for it not to hit your credit and, do more damage. So a lot of people target foreclosure.
Okay.
I target foreclosures too, just because a lot of those people are not willing to put their property on the market, or they would have done that before they started facing foreclosure.
So that's an interesting thing because it's like your ego. I was at an event this morning and someone talked about, are you going to allow your ego to make you broke? Because we talked about passion is, and this is a kind of a detour, but passion is contagious. And so do you want to look like, sometimes I get real passionate about something and I'm sure there's someone looking at me like, what is this guy's problem? But, I would stop that and change it if I had like an ego, but an ego will make you broke. And so sometimes I think these people, they often have, they're like, well, I don't want my neighbors to know. And I'm like, so you'd rather go into possible foreclosure than have your neighbors know that you are possibly going to go into foreclosure? It's like, I don't know.
It's
So that's
information
interesting.
anyway. When you are facing, once the courthouse gets,
They start putting stuff on your
yeah,
window and stuff.
you can literally type in trustee sale and your address and your name's going to come up. So it's public information if you face in foreclosure anyway. They put it in a newspaper and all over websites.
All right. So I'm a wholesaler. I can, oh, you said how many contracts can I assign? How many times can I do my
One.
job? One. So so essentially the law is now punishing people who are successful at their job of wholesaling.
No, because people who are successful at their job of wholesaling understand that there is no law that can be put into place that you can't pivot with. Like, for example,
Mm.
they say that, oh, you can only assign one contract a year. Well, now you have the options to double close. You just close on it. You go get your buyer first. You never have the money. So you're just the wholesaler. You never have the money, but you have the owner and the buyer. So you would just double close and they would take that buyer's money, make sure you get the right title company, let them know what you're doing. They would take that buyer's money and just pay out the whole thing so that it evens out. So you can
And you have to do that simultaneously, correct?
simultaneously, the same, you sign all the paperwork at one time. So you don't have to come in, go out, whatever. So that's one option that gives you, a roundabout way of still wholesaling. It's, you're going to spend a little bit more because closing costs are going to be higher, but if you're standing to make the same amount of money that you would have done wholesaling, it's a smart play. Another thing is to purchase property in an LLC and then sell the LLC. So that's another way around it. So, like I said, whatever
That's interesting.
legislation they put out, there's always a way around it. And not to mention, a lot of wholesalers know realtors anyway. So if we need to do any type of real estate business, I have friends that'll come to me like, hey, we need to use you real quick. And I'm going to say yes because they're my friends and I know that they're doing good business and good things.
And they write you a check.
It depends. Sometimes I listen. I will do some stuff for free. Like if it is one of my mentors or like somebody who just gave me just tremendous opportunity and I want to give back, I will do stuff for free.
Okay. All right. So it's an interesting, to me, an interesting discussion as far as what wholesalers do, because to me, I'm thinking who's going through and enforcing it. If I've got 50,000 wholesalers and they can only assign it once, so it's like, now is there a department that's going to run through 50,000 to make sure it's like, okay, make sure you didn't do two, make sure you didn't do three. It's just like, who's got the manpower for that? I don't know. What do you think?
I was thinking the same thing. Like, there are wholesalers right now who have never paid taxes. And then I'm like, well, how are they going to know who was behind?
You don't even know they exist.
Oh, you know what? Maybe.
I guess it's like they can. I mean, who knows? It's like they've never paid taxes. So they're off the grid. They might not have an LLC, so
they do have an LLC. I guess that's why the government's cracking down on LLCs now and making you report all of them.
This is interesting. I love any change because I'm less interested. There's going to be people who Chicken Little. They're just learning to get a wholesaler. This new change, and they're like, oh, I'm out. But then there's going to be other people that are just like, I'm smelling opportunity. I'm just going to pivot, and I'm probably going to be more successful, and I'm probably going to be able to have more opportunity because the other people kind of slid to the right. And I feel that's how a lot of businesses are. Very good. So if you guys are wholesaling, that's an entrepreneur. That's a very lucrative job. I'm not a wholesaler. I'm just kind of like a novice learner because my relationships with wholesalers that benefit me for sure. Because I have the ability to purchase things. If the deal makes sense, then I usually know a guy. Someone asked me the other day. They said, Galen, do you have money? And I said, no, I just know people who do. I was like, that is. I was like, yeah, I was like, I know someone. If you got a deal, I could probably within 5 seconds find someone who's going to buy it. So that's very good. So the second, all right, number 2 of the legislation's change. If maybe you live under a rock, maybe you haven't checked the clickbait news. Real estate. Here's what I'm reading everywhere. Real estate commissions are going away. That's everywhere you go. I've gotten 7. You probably got messages from people. Oh, what do you think that's going to do now that you can't get paid to do your job? And I'm like, first of all, I'm going to get paid to do my job. So here's what we're seeing. The National Association of Realtors, they work for realtors and support us in our endeavors to sell houses and properties. And I would just like to go on the record in case anyone's listening. Thank you, National Association of Realtors. I send you my money every month, and I'm every whatever quarter. I don't want no smoke.
I want smoke. I want to overthrow you guys. I think you're not anything. You are useless. You're grabbing.
Hey, so we all have different opinions on this. So the National Association of Realtors, they just settled a lawsuit, billions of dollars, and they're saying, "Oh my goodness, we're so sorry for us price fixing and forcing sellers. We grabbed sellers, we twisted their arms behind their backs." And we said, you have to pay 6% or we won't sell your house. And apparently that was basically the NAR's lawyer, apparently. What I think a lot of casual people don't realize is that, one, I don't have a choice whether I can be a member of the National Association of Realtors. 2, whether I sell one house or 100 houses, the National Association of Realtors does not care. Because I still have to pay. Or zero. Yeah. Oh, yeah. If I sell 100 houses or 0 houses, I still have to pay the National Association of Realtors. The National Association of Realtors will never tell me what a commissioner's price is because they don't care. Because they don't get any more money if my commission is 19% or 1%. They get no more money, so they really do not care. So for them, they're like, yeah, we'll settle. What do we care? We've got all. The real question that I think a lot of agents are right now asking is, why does the National Association of Realtors have so much money to even be able to do this? How did you get my money? And I thought you were supposed to be doing stuff to advocate for me. Like, where'd all this money come from? So the real victims is me, but we won't even go into that. So basically they're saying they've made some changes and says that in the MLS, you are not going to be able to advertise how much of a commission the house is being sold for. And so you're probably going to Google and click and hear. There's going to be a lot of people talking about, oh, that's happened. This is great. Finally, this happened. But what I want to talk about, who does this help? Now, your gut reaction, if you're a listener, you're probably going to say, well, this hurts realtors. I hate to tell you guys, it doesn't really hurt realtors. You know why? I was having a conversation and I explained it to like this. If someone said, hey, look, if you're a doctor and you can't charge certain amount of money, we're going to make these other people, we're going to make these patients, we're going to make them be their own doctors. So they're going to have to do their own surgeries. They're going to have to administer their own medications. The likelihood is what's going to happen if the casual person, Stephanie, what happens if a person just starts operating on themselves and administrating their own medication?
I don't think they're going to live.
They're going to die, right? Or they're going to hurt themselves very severely. They're going to put themselves in a worse position. And when that happens, who are they likely going? Who is this patient? Who is this homemade doctor who's on Google and he was like, oh, appendectomy, this is what I do. Who are they going to then call? They're going to call an actual doctor. That is the same with real estate. We are about to see a very awkward social experiment because we're now telling people that you have to represent yourself or you have to come up with the money. So let's do this. VA buyers, if you are a veteran,
I'm a veteran.
You are a veteran. Stephanie, why would a legislation like this hurt a veteran buyer who's using a VA loan?
I think everything is going to be individualized because even though a VA loan is, $0 down and all of that, that means that they have more money readily available to maybe pay a commission to somebody. I think where it's going to affect people is people that barely can purchase a house. Like we have a lot of first time home buyers where this is their first house. They saved up X amount of dollars or saved up some tax returns, and it maybe took them years or they had to go to family to even purchase the house in the first place. So now we're adding additional expenses on top of that, which may, in my people that I work with, for sure, this is going to affect them. I literally target people who ordinarily would not be able to purchase homes just to get them in so that we can have some type of wealth shift. Those people will be the first ones to be affected because they don't have additional cash to bring.
And I'll call it for what it is. Lower income and people of color will be disproportionately targeted by this, which will lead to large groups of lawsuits, class action lawsuits against. So my question is, who are they going to sue now? You can't sue all the sellers. You can't sue the NAR because they just settled and said, oh no, so now they're going to have to sue the Department of Justice because it was the Department of Justice who set this all in place. But let's go back real quick for a VA buyer. So deep inside of the VA buyer bylaws, there is a provision that says that the VA buyer can in no way in getting this VA loan contribute personal funds to the commission of a realtor.
I didn't even know that. That is crazy.
Isn't that spicy? So and it's been in there for a long time. It's been in there for a very long time. And we've never had this issue because sellers paid commission. But now if you're a VA buyer, if you want to get your VA, when it goes to underwriting and appraisal, that cannot be seen anywhere. They're going to say, where's this money going to? And they can't say, oh, it's to pay my commission because then the VA appraiser will say, oh, no, well, you can't. So legally, and you guys can look this up, fact check me. Hit me in the comments if I'm wrong.
Fact check you right quick because I like to pull a receipt or two.
Because I'm not wrong. But so now if you're a real estate agent and you are a VA buyer approaches you and says, hey, I need your help buying a property. What are some of the thoughts that this real estate agent now has to do for himself? He's like, man, I got a mortgage to pay. Am I about to show 6 houses?
Right.
And now find out that at the end of the day, I can't even get paid for all of this? Is that the position he wants to be in? I don't think so. So I don't think there's not going to be agents who are going to be like, hey, I don't work with VA buyers. But they are probably going to have very frank conversations with their VA buyers and say, hey, look, we're going to have to find out how much is commission because if they're not paying anything, I can't make anything and I can't work with you. So that makes it so now the pool of homes that the VA buyer was able to see has now shrank to this.
Yes, but hold on.
So
I pulled it up. It says that the VA loan limits what buyers can pay. This means that loan costs will need to be covered by the seller, the lender, or a real estate agent. The non-allowable costs and fees include broker fees and real estate commissions. And on top of that, this is a fun fact, there are penalties for loan prepayment. I'm thinking I'm about to pay my loan off quick. Let me just go ahead and borrow their money. Can I even pay it off?
So it's like, I'm not wrong.
God.
And also, this is a tangent, but I've seen a lot of agents talk about recasting loans. And recasting is like you get a bunch of money and you're going to put it towards your loan to get lower. Hate to spoil it for you. That cannot be done by any government-backed loan that you got. So if you got VH, if you got VA, if you got USDA, if you got FHA, you can't pay any of that stuff early. There's a payment penalty. They might not even let you do it. You can only do it for conventional loans. So, but that's just a detour. But see, so now look at how this negatively impacts people of color, low-income people, veterans. So veterans, you went to the military, you served the country, you put yourself in harm's way. And now someone's saying, hey, you can't, now we've just made it hard for you to even own a home. We've only got about 2 minutes, so I'm just going to go off on just like a minor tangent that just says the following. Because here's how
we need to come back and read it next week, but go ahead.
We might. But I'm going to ask some questions, and I'm not going to answer them. We'll talk about this next week. Who now benefits from this law going into place? Why is the government, why were they so quick to jump on this and push it forward? There's a reason for that. I'm not pointing, but I'm just saying we're going to go through that process next week to say who benefits and why was the government so slow and still slow to defend people of color, low-income housing people, and veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Galen Parker. This is the Round 2 podcast. I know it's a little bit different than what we usually talk about entrepreneurs, but Stephanie and I, we're not going to sit back and when we see the opportunities being snatched away from future entrepreneurs, we're going to say something. If you see something, say something. Stephanie, do you agree? So, ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie, if they need to reach you, how do they get in contact with you?
I am Stephanie Nicole RVA on everything.
On everything. I had such a delight today because people were like, Galen, how do we reach you on social media? I said the same thing every time. I said, I'm _Galen Parker on everything. And the reason I am is because Stephanie Nicole, my business partner, she fixed my social media because it was all over the place. So now, if you guys need me, Galen Parker. This has been the Round 2 podcast. We are so happy that you've been with us for this. I think we're episode 8 right now. You guys are the best. If there's something that you have a question about, let us know. You can DM Stephanie. She loves getting a bunch of DMs from a lot of people. No, I'm sorry. Hit the comments. We will do our best to answer these questions. But as for our time, next week, we'll be talking to you. Bye. Goodbye.